Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year, and welcome to the I Talk Back Sports Show. My name is Kay, and I'm joined by my fabulous co-host, Jamal. Jamal, say hi to the people.
Happy New Year, people, and hi.
Okay, today we're going to talk a lot of NFL, some NBA, and a little bit of potpourri. Jamal, would you like to give a shout-out?
Thanks, Kay. I would love to give a shout-out to the former coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Jason Garrett, for the wonderful semi-love letter that he wrote when the writing was already on the wall to say that he still wanted to be a coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And to really force the Joneses' hands to actually make a decision. So shout out to Jason Garrett for still lobbying for a position that you no longer had. Kay, what about you?
I want to give a shout out to the Pro Bowl, the All-Pro committee who failed to vote for the running back Aaron Jones. Okay, Aaron Jones was tied with Henry for the most rushing touchdowns. Mm-hmm. He was tied also for the most total touchdowns, and he got a record. Mm-hmm. as a participant on the team, mm-hmm. and he got 0 All-Pro votes, Jamal.
Wow.
So once again, the popularity contest is definitely overruling the talent in the NFL.
Agreed. Very much agreed. I think that it's unfortunate and that one should not have overlooked his contributions to this Green Bay Packers squad. So, yeah, they really should work on that process.
Okay, for a little bit of the news around the leagues, or at least just one, the Olympic Committee has banned the athletes from taking a political stand in the field of play, and this will start with the 2020 games. Jamal, is this the correct thing to do, in your opinion?
I'm a little torn on this, and you just told me about this, and so I missed out on the actual announcement. And what I'll say is, in this moment, I think that it's probably the right thing to do. That ideally the Olympics are supposed to be a showcase just of the athletics and not necessarily of the differing political views. So while I understand that there is the need and the ability of athletes to be able to protest or otherwise share their views, I am hesitantly agreeing that it is a good move to try to keep this as, shall we say, as neutral as possible when it comes to athletics. What about you, Kay?
Well, you know me, I'm a story type of person. I am very much interested in the little girl that gets sent to gymnastics at the age of 4 in China, or the runner in Ghana who, for all his life, has done thousands and thousands of miles running, training to prepare for this moment. Mm-hmm. And once you get to this moment from your small town or Providence or side of the country, whatever it may be, mm-hmm. this is your platform. So I don't want anything that could be maybe racist or hateful, like maybe putting up the Nazi sign like they did in the 60s.
Right.
Nothing like that.
Right.
But with this being your platform, you know, it shouldn't be 10 minutes long, but just a wave or sign to show your country I've made it. And I am understanding of all our problems and everything that I'm going to go back home to, but mm-hmm. I also want to make other people aware of it. That's my thing.
I hear you, and like I said, I was hesitant, and so we'll see how it pans out at the end of the day. But I really, I don't know. We'll talk about it again, I'm sure, in the coming weeks. So let's start talking a little NFL news, and well, let's be honest. Let's start talking about the coaching carousel that has begun in the NFL. So, unlike years past, we only so far have 5 openings, and that 4 of them have been filled already, thankfully. Our 2 of the openings were actually our divisional rivals. The Washington Redskins signed Rivera from who was let go by the Panthers in the middle of the season to a nice contract, and that he takes over for. I'm trying not to say John Gruden, but his brother's name is escaping me. Apologies.
Yeah, the other Gruden.
Yeah, the other Gruden. Kay, what's your take on this signing?
Well, first of all, with the coaching, when was the last time in the NFC East that there was 3 coaches changing in a season? Wow, really? Okay, so I think that Rivera is a strong choice. And I think that he already has himself a game plan with who he wants to come along with him. So he's very motivated to show the Carolina Panthers that they messed up big time. So I'm very excited for the competition with the Redskins. It makes rivalry week a little bit better when we play them twice a year. So I'm ready for it. I think that he's very formidable. You know what I'm saying? So I'm ready for it.
So this is going to sound kind of odd. I agree with you in terms of the competition. I really like him as a coach, and so I really want him to fail at this particular position and to then move on to someplace else and succeed. I don't like him as somebody that I have to dislike twice a year. There have not been very many coaches or otherwise staff that have gone to one of our division rivals that I've really actually truly had respect for.
Wow.
But I do. I've really liked him. I really liked what he did in Carolina. And so, yeah, I am going to actively hope that he does Midland to fair, but that ultimately they either let him go or somebody else makes him a better offer and he leaves the Redskins so that I can cheer for him again, as long as it's outside of our division.
Gotcha.
So the next divisional rival that So the Giants signed somebody named Joe Judge. We're going to get into this a little bit more, I believe, a little bit later. But, Kay, do you have any thoughts on this signing by the Giants?
No.
Okay. It's a divisional rival, so I'm not going to put that much thought into it either. You're right.
Okay, so Baylor coach, or former Baylor coach, Matt Rule, agreed to a 7-year contract to become the Carolina Panthers' next coach. The deal was worth $60 million with incentives and could be worth up to $70 million.
Yes.
Rule, he made $4.1 million this season with Baylor, and the Panthers paid a $6 million buyout to hire their new coach. Now, Rule is a former head coach of Temple and Baylor, and he had a previous NFL stint with the New York Giants as an offensive line coordinator. Now, let me just share with you this. There was Cowboys should give Matt Rule. But what Matt Rule did prior to the end of the season is he did a little interview. And the reporter asked a question like, to sum it up, would you work for someone like Jerry Jones without saying like Jerry Jones? And he said that he was not interested in doing that he wanted to be hands-on, and a lot of others, which indicated he did not want to come to the Cowboys.
Okay.
So I know you don't care, but I just think that there's something going around the league. There's people that think the Cowboys job is a dream job, and other people wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So I have a lot of respect for Rule for that reason.
So I will go back and say this, that I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in Carolina. The quick turnaround that he had with that Baylor team was really amazing, because last year they were horrible, and this year they were quite the squad. I thought it was awfully quick for them to pull the trigger to make him a head coach, though, that I would have thought that someone had brought him in maybe as a coordinator first, but hey, Carolina, you do what you do. In the interim, he's got a fairly decent squad. I think the really big question is whether or not they're going to keep Cam Newton or if they're going to sit here and continue to go with this backup that they have. And that we'll see what Carolina does. He's in a really tough division. The Saints are still loaded. Atlanta may get their act together. Tampa Bay, actually, it's not actually that bad of a division to be in now that you mention it. Tampa Bay, who knows what they're going to do. So, yeah, it's a good landing spot, though. But in terms of the hands-on thing, I feel that you have a really good point with that in terms of the Cowboys organization, and we're actually going to talk about that in just a moment. Still pending in terms of the coaching search. The Cowboys signed Mark McCarthy. Now, still pending in the coaching search for, as often as there are seasons in the year, the Browns are looking for another head coach. Let me ask you this. Was Kitchens really the problem?
I can't really say. I don't know if he was given enough time to really iron out a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Or were they going to allow him to fail and then to come back and correct a lot of things? He's not given enough time to do that. And so I really cannot answer that.
So, if I can follow it up with this. Do you think the Browns would still be looking for a new coach if they had kept Hugh Jackson in place?
As
the head coach.
Coordinator? Oh, no, if they would have retained him another year?
Yes.
I don't know. I think, they're pretty... I don't know. I have no answer. I don't know.
I think the Browns are going to Browns, and that it is just one of those organizations that they just cannot stay out of their own way. And the amount of talent that has gone through there is amazing, and gone on to succeed in other organizations. And also the coaching situations that have gone through, the carousel that has been just... And so we sat here back in September. I think the two of us agreed that the Browns were overrated because people were talking they should make the playoffs, and that's just not the way the squad was built. They didn't improve their defense, and that they also got rid of the man who made their defense somewhat decent in Greg Williams. So who knows who the Browns are going to sign? It's going to be really interesting. Right now, I believe that they're still trying to talk with Josh McDaniels, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Yeah, they're saying Josh McDaniels, but, how long will the leash be with him as well? You got to kind of maybe take your time with whoever you put in this place. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe go out and venture and maybe get somebody unconventional. I don't know. Or somebody with a proven record maybe. Someone with a lot of experience maybe. Instead of just rolling the dice, which I think they did with their last hire.
So let me throw this idea out there. What if they go for Lincoln Riley? Baker Mayfield's old coach.
That would be the only reason why I think he would want to even go there is because of his experience with the quarterback. But maybe, how about this thought? Maybe Baker isn't that good. Or maybe he's just average like everyone else. Maybe that.
Maybe we should come back to that at some point. So, yeah, let's put a pin in that and come back to it. But maybe you're right. So, let's talk about Joe Judge again. Does his signing bother you in that he has very limited coaching resume and some other decent coaches of color were passed over for him?
No, I just think people choose what they want for whatever reason. So I can't get mad at that. I don't agree. I think there's people black and white that are more qualified than him. You know what I'm saying? So no, it doesn't bother me. Does it bother you?
I will say that I was slightly irritated and miffed, especially that this time around that Marvin Lewis was being used as the token to interview to get around the Rooney Rule. That that being said, however, as someone who is supposed to play this team twice a year, that I didn't lose too much sleep over it in terms of the Giants. That if that's what y'all are going to do, fine, do whatever. But just in principle, yeah, it did kind of bother me that there are some number of people of color out there in the coaching fraternity who really should have been considered or given stronger consideration for this than this guy. So rumor has it that they're floating around Jason Garrett, the former Cowboys head coach, as his offensive coordinators. Any concerns for us as Cowboys coordinator or as Cowboy fans for the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 years?
No.
Good. So let's get back to Mike McCarthy, who, as was trumpeted for most of the week, signed with the Cowboys. And Jerry Jones is actually going to let him bring in most of his own staff. So there are certain holdovers that are out. Unfortunately, ones that we were hoping might stick around, like Mike Colombo. He is out as offensive line coach. It doesn't look like Chris Richard is going to be returning. But it sounds as though they're keeping Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. Do you have any thoughts on this?
The thing that I have with the Cowboys is they get a hold to an idea and they put their teeth in it and they will not let go of it. Mm-hmm. That is my issue with them. And they always believe their own hype. You know what I'm saying? Like they should also go into wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're very inflated with these ideas. I'm just saying. And it's good to be confident, but it's not good to be stupid. You have a new coach. Mm-hmm. So why not let's do some new stuff? And just in the interview that McCarthy has had and kind of the questions, it was kind of like, yeah, but what do the Cowboys think? I don't want that. I want him to say, hey, this is what I feel will work based upon my experience. And based upon my experience is the reason why you hired me. Not, oh, well, let's see, maybe it will. No. Be very aggressive with these bullies now. He has to. He has to stand his ground. And he has to understand that his players are watching. And they're looking at his decision-making. And that's going to say whether they'll actually respect him as a coach. That's all I got to say about that.
So, what are you thinking about keeping Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator?
You sound a more direct person. No.
Really? Okay.
No.
Okay. It's funny.
Get rid of your grand thoughts and illusions and go deeper. Think deeper. Raise yourself higher to another standard. And maybe you'll win 2 playoff games. Okay? That's all I got to say.
So, I like the fact that he did, as opposed to what he was supposedly run out of Green Bay for in terms of not actually being an innovator and so forth, that he kept somebody on staff that is young and who is somewhat innovative in terms of their offensive philosophy. And maybe that the two of them, as Mike McCarthy is a really good offensive mind in his own right, that the two can meld together and come up with a decent plan on the offensive side of the ball.
So a la Marinelli Rashad? Rashard, is that what you're thinking for your offense?
No, that's not what I was thinking for my offense. I was thinking more along the lines of what I forget what the coach's name is in Atlanta, but I think it's Dan Quinn and Kyle Shanahan, the Super Bowl winning or Super Bowl losing team for the Falcons a couple of years ago. Not so
Too
much.
soon.
Not so much. Sorry.
Well, one of those people are actually successful after that, so.
Ooh. So, speaking of successful, let's talk about the defensive coordinator because this actually, before I go all fanboy on this selection as the head coach, I have a huge issue, and that is Mike Nolan, the former Saints linebackers coach, former coach of the San Francisco 49ers, is being brought in as the defensive coordinator. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan. How do you feel about this?
Well, once again, the Cowboys are wanting to hold on to something familiar. You know, his father, Dick Nolan, was one of our backs coach. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you know, let it go. It's always sometimes good or refreshing to get a hold to something unfamiliar and let it be yours. You know, they're so always caught up into the storyline. Okay, so of all the people in the world, I never would have thought to pick him. You know what I'm saying? Because
yes.
I think for the most part, his history it's been up and it's been down. The Cowboys aren't linebacker happy, you know what I'm saying? And we're kind of really struggling with the ones that we have. So I don't know. I don't think this is a good time to go and change our defensive scheme, Jamal.
So I'm going to go on the opposite side on this one, but I will say that from a standpoint of linebackers, one of the things we have had a problem with is having decent linebackers. And the one thing that he has done in New Orleans is coached up some really good linebackers. So their linebacker play has been fairly good. That being said, however, his defenses they seem to be baked, but bend but don't break. So he's never, right now, the Cowboys came in ninth in overall defense. None of the defenses, from what I saw from the stats of his, came above 14th in the league. So that's not what necessarily we're looking for. I honestly was hoping for someone that maybe would have focused a bit more pressure on the front four or someone who was really good at coordinating the defensive backfield so that if not for pressure, we at least were able to get great coverage and have takeaways. So turnovers, yes, ma'am. So if not sacks, then I'm looking for turnovers. This guy, we can force things through the linebacker core, but a strong linebacker core does not a great defensive make. So, and that's one thing that New Orleans did prove is they didn't have a great defense. So. That being said, apparently Mike McCarthy took some of the, we'll say, criticism to heart when he was let go from Green Bay, and he spent last year learning analytics and catching up on the newer trends of the game. Does this make you feel any better about him as our new head coach?
I feel good about him anyway. I just feel like it's great to have that type of technology. But it's even better for him to surround himself with people that can actually enhance him because it's about his vision, and we need people to help him carry out that vision, and that's what I'm excited about.
I, too, am excited. I'm going to temper some of my excitement. I will say that I'm excited that we appear to have somebody who actually knows how to coach and coach fairly decently. That is not to say anything necessarily about former Coach Garrett. But I do, having seen Mike McCarthy in action, that I like the way that he manages a game. I also, though, have to temper it with this, that while the Cowboy the Cowboy management was touting how great Mike McCarthy had been in beating us, that, no offense to Dak, Mike McCarthy did have Aaron Rodgers, and that it was really Aaron Rodgers who beat us those times in the last recent years. And I'm not going to necessarily say it was Mike McCarthy. Aaron Rodgers made the plays. Aaron Rodgers made the throws that. Ugh. So anyway, yes.
Can I say this?
Yes, ma'am.
How about some of the time we beat ourselves? Okay.
I would like to.
We beat ourselves by sometimes the coach not going forward when he should have, not calling a timeout when he should have, and us not playing up to the moment. If we don't play up to the moment, then we're always going to be out of it because we don't have that internally inside of us. It's not there. We don't have killer instinct. We don't have a win or go home understanding in times like that. So I can't just say, and I'm never going to say, oh, they got Aaron Rodgers. I'm never going to ride that school bus. But, you know, it's a lot of us and not so much of them. That's what I'll say.
I will hesitantly, but yeah, I can agree with you on that. We did beat ourselves quite a bit. Yes. So
okay, so moving on. Let's get off of that. And hopefully this will be the last time we had to bring up Jason Garrett. Because that's such a, yeah, that's, okay. So
no. We're definitely going to bring him up again, I'm sure.
On last Saturday, the Buffalo Bills went to Houston. And this was a I felt it was going to be a great defensive game. I felt that it was just going to be a lot of explosive plays as well. And it really was a lot of explosiveness. I have all new respect for Deshaun Watson. I just like it that he knew that he had to get some things done and he had to maybe give a little bit more to get the result that he wanted. Jamal, what did you think about the game?
I was surprised because I had written off Houston at the beginning since they spotted Buffalo 16 points. And I picked up a book and started reading the game was still on. Come on. But, yeah, that I saw the momentum start to swing and that Houston figured a couple of things out in terms of protection and blocking. And the overall game was really good to me. I really think that Houston does need to probably continue to work on blocking better for Deshaun and that they really need to do a better job of establishing their run game. What about you?
I agree with both. Okay, and Tennessee went into Foxborough and eliminated my biggest Super Bowl headache.
Yes.
Thank you, Tennessee Titans.
Thank you, Tennessee.
Salute. Okay, so...
What did you think of it?
I was very... I think with the way that the Patriots have been playing, it was like... Are they going to be able to put it in that gear? You know what I'm saying? And do what they need to do with their killer instinct and just seal the deal. But when they were talking about how when they go to the wild card game, they're not as successful, I started thinking, you know what I'm saying? But I like that the former player beat his coach. I mean, I'm all about storylines. So I love that type of stuff, especially Belichick, because he knows everything. And then you got Brady, who never wants to lose and pouts and stuff. So I loved it.
I too loved it. I just didn't expect it to happen, and I didn't expect it to happen the way that it did. That Tennessee walked into Foxborough and ran down their throats, Derrick Henry for 182 yards, and that there was a little bit of true coaching going on at the 5-minute mark with the punt. I was honestly standing screaming at the television, kick the field goal. Let's kick the field goal. What are you doing? And that the series of penalties that they took to run the clock down, because I had first thought, okay, this is just for field position because they're too close for a punt. And that, no, it's actually you're running the clock down. And it's like, you ran a full minute off the clock. And
That was very hackashackish for the
Indeed,
NFL.
indeed.
Yeah.
But it's the awareness, and this is what a coach. That's right. We're not supposed to talk about it. This is what a decent coach will do for you, one that understands the rules of the game. So, but that said, man, yeah, I'm still kind of grinning. I feel nothing for New England. And we'll talk about Tennessee a little bit later as well. But while questions swirl around Brady's future, I'm saying he'll be back. Was the game as entertaining for you?
Yeah, it was entertaining for me. I mean, it really was. And, if you can run the ball as effectively as they did in the playoffs, you got a pretty good chance of winning. So I liked it.
Excellent, excellent. So then Sunday rolled around, and oof, okay. So some things happened. We'll start in New Orleans, where once again the Saints lost to the Vikings in the playoffs. Again. Okay, you have any thoughts on this?
Well, this is one game I did not watch until the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter and in the overtime because it was going to be a battle. You know what I'm saying? And I just felt that it was going to end unfairly. So that's why I waited so long to even tune in. New Orleans, they just don't have it. You know what I'm saying? Knowing what happened last year, they should have been extra motivated to get out there and score some points, and they did not do that. So for that reason alone, it is on New Orleans, and maybe they lost the game instead of Minnesota winning.
I'm going to agree with you. The Saints went away from their run game, and that it was to their detriment. They could not figure out how to run the ball at all. You let Delvin Cook rush up over 120 yards on you versus your offense only putting out, I think it was somewhere around 40 or 50 yards of total rushing for the game. I'll have to go back and look that number up. But New Orleans is usually a balanced team, and you can't just throw the ball or not establish the run to allow the throw. And you got to get Michael Thomas more than 100 yards receiving. He had around 70 yards, as I recall. So those are not recipes to win the game. And so I don't know what happened in terms of the team actually putting forth its will against the Vikings. Because let's be honest, the Vikings are a fairly decent team. They're an up and down team. But you're the New Orleans Saints. You're the one who went roughshod over most of the teams this year. And yet you let the Vikings come into your house and win. Ugh. And so I don't want to hear anything. The last play, was it pass interference on the offense?
According to the way that the calls have been going this year, no.
Okay. In my book, it was, but at the end of the day, New Orleans shouldn't have been in that position, which is what you would normally tell me, right?
Yeah, and the referees, for the most part, have been letting a lot of physical contact come between the defender and the receiver, tight end, whatever. So they've been doing it all year. So sure. I have no complaint about that.
Okay.
At all. Okay, so on tomorrow, Minnesota will go to San Francisco, where Minnesota won't be as they're not going to win because San Francisco is going to take it home. We missed the game, but we'll go back. So we're going to talk about Minnesota.
No, wait. Okay. Yeah, we missed the game, but okay, we'll get to that. Seattle.
Yeah, we'll go back to that.
So, Seattle grounded
and Minnesota.
Seattle grounded an injury-plagued Philadelphia Eagles team on the road to advance to face an old playoff foe, the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. Did you get a chance to watch the Seattle-Philly game?
I did. It was a great game and a great performance by DK Metcalf, who early in this season did a lot of boneheaded stuff, and he really redeemed himself in this game. Seattle will not be as lucky next week, but it was a good performance against a sorry team.
My Eagles hate aside, I think it's unfortunate that this squad came in with as many injuries as it did. I do understand that it is just the name of the game and sports in general. DK Metcalf, I'm still kicking the Cowboys for not drafting him, but he is, once he grows up, he's going to be something amazing. Seattle did what they needed to do, and that the game shouldn't have been as close as it was, and so I agree with you. They're going to need to step it up.
All their games are close, though.
Yeah.
All their games are close.
They're going to need to step it up. So let's talk about this weekend. So we have.
Okay, go ahead. I already said Minnesota, San Francisco.
I'm still trying to figure this one out. I just, for some reason, I'm taking Minnesota. I don't know. I just don't have the faith in San Francisco to win this game.
Okay. So, Tennessee and Baltimore. And if I had to pick an upset, it's going to be this game, Jamal.
Oh, really?
You heard it here first.
Okay. I'm not getting on that.
You can't say it's not beyond the realm you can't say it's not beyond the realm of a possibility. Because the Titans are ready to play. So
I agree with what you're saying, but I can't get on that bandwagon. I'm gonna have to stick with Baltimore at home. They've.
I didn't say I wasn't going to pick Baltimore. I'm saying if there's any game that can be an upset, it's going to be this game.
Okay. So who are you picking? Who are you taking, though?
I mean, ultimately, I'm going to pick Baltimore.
Okay.
But if there's any game this weekend that could be an upset, I'm going to put my marker on Tennessee-Baltimore. That's what I have.
See, that's funny you say that because the next game coming up, if there were going to really be an upset, I know I took Minnesota and I'm not feeling great about it. The Houston-Kansas City game, because Houston did come into Arrowhead earlier this year and win. So I don't see why they couldn't do it again, but I'm going to take Kansas City.
Okay, so one is 11-6, and the other one is 12-4. So, as far as the winning, the up and down play of the quarterback, the defense, they're pretty closely matched. So, if one wins and the other one loses, I don't think it's going to be a surprise to very many people. I just don't. So, but I think anything can happen there.
I think a Houston win is going to open some people's eyes really widely. I think that Kansas City is right now everyone's odds-on favorite to make it to the AFC Championship game. So I think I just see it differently than you do on this.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. We don't have to agree.
Yes, we do.
Fine.
No, we'd have to agree.
No.
Okay.
But we never.
This is true. Right. So, and lastly, in Seattle versus Green Bay at Lambeau Field.
I just, with watching the last maybe 2 or 3 games of Seattle's regular season and the way that they played last week, I think Seattle is coming to the end of their run for this season. Not that Green Bay is so great. It's just playing in Green Bay at 5:40 at night. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing, Seattle being able to overcome the element.
Mm-hmm. I think you said it best. It definitely feels as though Seattle's at the end of their run and that they did well to get out of Philadelphia with a win, and that was with an injury-plagued team. This is a healthy Green Bay squad that has done really well over this season, and they're motivated. They have looked really good, and I don't like either team, but at the end of the day, since I have to pick a team, I'm going to go with Green Bay for the win.
Okay. So, Jamal, you know what happens tonight?
Yes, I do actually, and I think that I will go ahead and concede the game because Anthony Davis has a bruised lower back. He will not be playing tonight, so we're not at full strength.
I don't buy into
We're not at
that.
full strength.
I don't buy into
What?
that.
We're not at full
And
strength.
we can't get it together the last 5 minutes of a game. So I don't know about just because AD is not going to play. I mean, I think it's going to be very competitive, and I think it's going to come down to the end of the game to see who wins.
Okay, is Porzingis playing?
No, he's hurt.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. I'll take it back. Yeah, I think we have a chance then. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it seems like we can win without Luka, but when Porzingis is not in the game,
yeah.
Go figure. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to the ugly text messages from you in the middle of the night, since this is going to be a late game.
Okay, so are the Lakers going to trade Kuzma?
I don't know. It depends on what they can get for him, and how about this? I don't want them to trade him, but it seems as though that may be what's coming up. So
what's on your Christmas list?
I don't really have one because I like Kuz. He's just up and down, but he's young. So I think there's a...
Okay. I'm just saying, if you trade him, what do you want in return? That's my question.
All I can say is I want somebody who is a consistent outside shooter. That's all I can ask for. Now, I know that there are probably quite a few names out there, but a consistent outside shooter is all that I'm looking for. So,
you know, when I ask you about your team, you're just too hesitant for me. I need you to have a little bit of more of an opinion about what you want your team to do.
Let me tell you something, okay? In terms of our friendship, all right, back in the day when we were contending strong or winning, when I had that bravado of we're doing X, Y, and Z, you would come at me with, okay, and you'd say something, and then the next thing you know, boom, we flatline or we'd lose. I'm not doing that anymore. I've learned my lesson.
Is that why? Okay.
My bravado has been destroyed. The balloon has been poked and all the air is gone out. I'm not doing that anymore with you. So I am cautiously optimistic in terms of what my team is going to do. So let's quickly move on and talk a little college football with the time that we have left. Some team to the north of you in Norman got their behinds whooped. It's almost a couple of weeks ago now, against LSU in the Peach Bowl. I would just want to repeat this: 63-28 was the final score. Kay, how did you sleep that night and every other night since then?
Like a baby. A newborn baby after getting out the tub and rubbed down with some baby oil and some baby powder on the booty. I slept wonderful. You know what I'm saying? That was a fun. But no, on a serious note, I always want the Big 12 to do well when we get into these situations.
Right. That's true.
But we got to do better as a conference in actually playing defense. Mm-hmm. And not always just going out for, the quarterback, the top-ranked quarterback or the offensive players. Let's try to get some of these boys, some of these Clemson-type dudes to get on these teams and play some defense. That's what I say.
I couldn't agree more. The defense that was on display was, from the standpoint of from OU, was just maddening. And that, I'm with you in terms of you wanted the Big 12 to do well or to have a good showing, but jeez, I don't know. LSU just they were blitzed. They didn't look like they were ready at all. Do you think this hurt Lincoln Riley's?
LSU played like they were were offended that they even had to be out on the field with these guys.
Yeah.
That's just how I felt watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. They really looked like they should have been the number one ranked team as they were for most of the season. Do you think this hurts Lincoln Riley in terms of his chances of going to the next level this year?
Well, no, but it also should have put people, although it should put people at a pause that he was unable to make any type of adjustments. You got to be able to do that in any level of football.
That's true. So. That's true. On the other side of the coin, however, the Fiesta Bowl was a great matchup as Clemson pulled out the win against Ohio State. Ohio State, I'm not putting a D in front of their name, that Clemson spotted them a couple of scores, and then they turned around and put it on. Kay, what did you feel about this game?
Well, I expected a lot of good things out of this game. I just didn't receive them. It was okay. I don't know. I think I'm more excited to hear what you thought because I expected a lot and I just didn't get it.
I got quite a bit from this game, and I was not expecting it. I thought that this was going to be, it looked like it was going to be an Ohio State blowout from the get-go, and that Clemson settled down. It looks almost as though someone looked up in the second quarter and told Clemson that they were playing a football game, and they decided to show up. It really was an impressive display on their part to just go through and throttle Ohio State going into halftime and then throughout the second half. I hope that this means that we're going to have a fairly decent matchup for the championship. I am kind of disappointed, though, this one little note. I don't understand why this wasn't played this past Monday. That why are we waiting an additional week for them to play this game? We're starting, this is almost the middle of basketball season. We should be talking about college basketball right now or focusing on the NFL playoffs. That instead, not a complaint, great matchup, but why so late?
Yeah, it's like they're almost trying to get it to me with the Super Bowl. And please don't do that. Get it over with. I just remember it being the first or second third of the year, and we knew who the national championship person was. Let's get back to that. That's all that I have to say.
No,
even the NFL don't get between games. They don't get 2 weeks. They get 1 week. And they're professional. So stop it.
Super Bowl. Like you said, they're treating it like it's a Super Bowl. Yeah, this is getting 2 weeks, and it's unnecessary. So, that being said, without cheating and saying the Tigers, who are you taking to win on Monday night?
If Clemson's defense in the third and fourth quarter play to their full potential, I'm going to pick Clemson because LSU can be beat.
I am going to take LSU outright without a second thought, even though everyone else is crowning them already, and I'm not really a fan of that. But I didn't see enough from Clemson to be able to state unequivocally that they had an opportunity against this LSU squad. I think LSU's offense is going to overwhelm the Clemson defense, and that they're just not going to be able to keep up. So I'm looking for an LSU win, and that for the next 7 months, it's going to be unsufferable in your area because of all those LSU fans.
Yeah, I don't see much of that, so I'm okay with it.
You say that now. Wait, you just wait.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, okay.
I guess they got to have something since the Saints lost.
Okay, with that, Kay, let's go enjoy our weekends, enjoy some playoff football, and look forward to discussion. Discussing the results of the matchup, and also look forward to the hurry up. Will you do it Tuesday or Monday?
It'll probably be Monday since we gotta wait for the game to get played Monday night, 2 weeks after
Right,
the fact.
right.
On
So,
two.
okay, so on Tuesday then.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Looking forward to hearing the hurry up next Tuesday. And please make sure that you follow us on the social medias. I Talk Back Sports can be found on Twitter, Facebook, and the podcast will be broadcast across Spotify, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. So, Kay, appreciate you and look forward to talking to you next week. Until then, bye.